Wait.
Hi.
Do you have a green screen behind you?
I like your background.
Yeah, virtual background. I'm on a beach. Okay, okay. Well, actually, will not use headphones, but you can if you want use headphones. So I don't know if you need. Oh yeah, now I have a sound. Okay, guys, good to see you. And so the first 5 minutes we'll spend actually just making sure that everybody can use Zoom. So, and we'll start at 11, so good to see you. But if you need to grab water or, do something till 11, well, you are here, I see you. And yeah, we'll start at 11 when everybody's here. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I have a question. So
Yeah.
I sent my composition assignment to your email.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes. Did you
Okay.
try using the Google, what is it called? The Google Drive?
Google Drive. No, I just saw it this morning. So.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think
that's
we
okay.
have.
Actually, maybe it's better because that's how we used to do that, and it's okay. So it's easier for you guys. And I also see immediately, who's got the homework submitted in my email. So email is okay.
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 Good.
Okay, and I'm just finding a couple of things that we'll need here. And yeah.
Dr. Ivanova?
Yes. Hi, Kevin.
I don't think we have editing permission on the Google Drive folder. I tried to put the file in, but it said access denied. So
I'm sorry. Yeah, I tried setting up sharing permissions. So we'll see, guys. Maybe you can teach me how to finally do it. Yeah, we'll see what's going on there. So composition folder. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, my settings are saying that everybody with the link should be able to view. So sharing settings. Okay, now should have done it, can edit. Okay, done. Okay, well, too late. Okay. Great. Okay, so it's 11. So I see Daniel, Eunice, Kevin, Shanyu. Christy is here. Welcome, Christy. Okay. Chat. Somebody's using chat. Yay, Daniel. Good. So you're going ahead and trying all the features that I want you to try, guys, when everybody's here. Okay. Okay, one more thing. So, well, while we're still waiting a few minutes, Emily is not going to be joining us live because of the time difference. She's back home in Korea. So she's going to be working with me, meaning that she's going to be sending her homework and her practice in class as a video. And she already did it. She went ahead in advance. So she's really been on top of things with her work. And do you guys know, is anybody in contact with Victor? No? Okay. Yeah. So I'm not sure if he's going to be joining us. Haven't heard back from him. So if you heard or know anything about Victor, let me know. Well, if you can share, what you heard about how he's doing and where he is. I assume he's back home in China, right? So yeah. Okay, so yeah, a few more minutes. So we've got Christy, Albert, Shanyu, Kevin, Eunice, Daniel. Emily's not coming, so yeah, we're waiting for Carrie. I just received her homework, so I think she will be joining very shortly. And once I see Carrie, we will definitely begin class. And if it takes a while, we'll begin class soon.
Wait, so are we turning our homework in on the drive?
Well, yeah, I just changed the setting and you should be able to turn it on a drive, but if you weren't,
Because I can't see anyone else.
you can email it to me. Yeah, so let's just do it through email. It seems
Email?
to,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So how you, oh, Carrie is here. Okay. So, yeah, so the first class, only this first class, we're gonna dedicate to just making sure that we all can use Zoom. And what I need you to do is practice muting and unmuting microphone. And I see that some of you have microphone muted. Some of them have microphone unmuted, right? So I want to go in order. I'll call your name, ask you to unmute the microphone, and tell me how you're doing, if you can hear me well, right? So Daniel, so tell me how you're doing, if you're home.
I'm doing good. I'm still in LA.
Cool.
Doing fine.
Okay, and now mute the microphone. So that's how class is gonna go, right? So most of the time, guys, you're gonna have your microphone on mute, and whenever it's time to ask questions, or whenever you have a question, well, apart from me like calling you now by name, or when I call you by name, I mute your microphone and, well, talk, because if we all talk at the same time, the Zoom is not gonna handle it well. So Eunice, now it's your turn. How are you doing? Eunice.
Hi.
Hi, yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm in Irvine, California, which is in LA. And I'm trying to, yes. Oh, no, not in LA. It's in California. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not far from you. I'm also in Orange County.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're close to each other, but well, social distancing. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. Okay, Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm home. I have a quick question. So
Yeah.
from next class, we're gonna turn the assignments into the Google Drive folder. Is that correct?
You can, yes. If it's easier for you to email it to me, you can email it to me. Yeah, guys, I tried to set up a folder, but I realized that maybe it's not convenient. And now the folder should be working. So you should be able to put it in there. So I'm gonna, something what we're gonna practice next. I'm gonna share my screen for a second and show you, right? So here is the Google folder. It's on my drive. It's open for everybody with the link, and it says Colburn composition homeworks, right? So if you can submit it there, that's great, because this way I'm not going to go through my email and search for your emails, which is still something I'm going to do now, but in the future, right? It's all going to be there. Yeah, so I'm going to send you another email when I send the homework with the link, right? So you can submit it there. It's better. Yeah. Okay. So yes, great question, Kevin. So any other questions? Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. Okay, great. Shan Yu, how are you doing? Where are you?
I'm in Arcadia.
Great.
I'm still in California, and yeah, I'm safe and healthy.
Great. Okay, thank you. Albert, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm in Irvine
Great.
as well. Yeah, I'm safe.
Wonderful. Okay, Carrie, hello, how are you? Can you unmute the microphone? Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, now you need to be a little bit closer to microphone because I can barely hear you. Or yeah, can you say something again?
I am doing fine.
Yeah, this is very good. Okay, so I can hear you well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Christy, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay, and also you might want to be a little bit closer to your computer, to the microphone, right? Okay, great. Now, guys, if you want to use the camera, do you know how to use the camera? And we might need to use this option for your training class or for, yeah, and Daniel has a new photo, yay. Okay, so now, just a quick test. So can you find the camera and turn it on if you don't have it on already? So Christy, and if you don't want to use the camera right now, that's okay. But if you can use the camera, right, just use it for a second. So I see everybody but Christy, right? So Christy, yay, something is happening. So maybe I'll see Christy in a second. And Christy, if you don't want to use the camera, you can see it. But if you cannot use the camera, well, I just want you guys to learn how to use the camera. So, so I have it in settings that you should be able to use the camera. Can you find the camera icon and click on it, Christy?
Wait,
Yeah. Okay, so right now, the good thing that I don't need you guys to necessarily be on camera. So Christy, at the end of the class, you know, we'll go through how to use the camera and find that feature. To be quite honest, it's asking me at the beginning when I log in if I want to use a camera, so it happened automatically. So Christy will deal with it later. Okay, now next task. Guys, I want you to learn how to share the screen, right? Because sometimes you will need to use your screen to show me something on your file, or either your answer. So we might be using Microsoft Word or any kind of text editor for quick questions, for quiz questions in class, and maybe MuseScore as well. Now, to use share screen, you need to find the green button with an arrow at the bottom of your Zoom dialog window, and it says share screen. So I'm gonna go in turns, while seeing you guys in my dialog window on Zoom, and ask you to share the screen. So Shanyu, you happen to be first. Can you share your screen? And by sharing the screen, you'll be sharing the desktop screen with everybody. Right, so do you see the green button?
As host disabled attendance screen sharing.
Really? Okay. Okay, interesting. So you can't share the screen, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So Kevin, can you look into this too? Is your share screen also disabled?
Yeah, it also shows up as host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, wow. Well, sorry, guys, I did not do it intentionally. So, okay, this is something, again, I'm gonna change during the break. Screen sharing, again, we don't need it immediately, so that's the good thing. Okay, now next, I want you to say hi in the chat, right, to everybody. So can you find chat? Again, it's at the bottom of the screen, and you don't need to take turns. This is something you can do at the same time. Yay, okay. Great. So I see almost everybody, and Daniel was first to use the chat. Now, look at the chat window. It should be on the right of your screen, right? Can you find the file feature, right? So what I want you to do, I want you to send me a file, right? Now, it could be a screenshot. It could be, I don't know, your homework, right? If you don't know which file to send, right? So basically, I want you to open file on the right, and using your computer or Google Drive or whatever you have, send me a file. So this is just a test, right? So I will also be sending you files through the, okay, yes, I got counterpoint assignment from Eunice. Yes, and from Kevin. Yay, Shanyu. Okay. Christy, I've got a file. Thank you. Albert, thank you. Okay, so I'm just waiting for Carrie. Carrie, can you see how to send? Okay, got it. Okay. Daniel, okay, great. Yeah, I think I've got everybody, or almost every, yes, and Daniel, yes. Wonderful, thank you. Now, I want to I want you to know that unless this feature is disabled, and I did not disable it on purpose, you should be able to record the lectures, but I'm recording it for you already, right? So I do not recommend recording it just because you'll run out of disk space, right? So I'll record it, I'll post it for review, especially if somebody missed a class, right? And they'll be there for a while. I think I'll be using YouTube unless there are some kind of problems that you have with the YouTube. Okay, great. Now we are done with learning how to use Zoom. Thank you, and I'll address some of this sharing screen issues later. Now, what I'd like to begin with, I'd like to share some good news with you, and I'm gonna send you the first file, which I'll ask you to save. If you don't save it, it's not a big deal. So this file is our new schedule, updated schedule. I realized that, you know, this coronavirus situation took some toll and some time. I think we lost a week because of this. You guys are probably also busy with all kind of homework that you're receiving from all classes. So I revised our schedule, and here is the new schedule, which I'm also gonna open and share on our screen. Here we go. And I'm gonna tell you what to expect. Now, guys, can you see my screen now? I'm gonna collapse that. Okay, so if I don't hear no, I assume that you can see my screen. Okay, so first, good news for all classes, composition, theory, year training will have no midterm exam. And the final exam is going to be, a presentation of your projects in music composition class. And in other classes, well, we'll figure out what's going to happen with the final exam on the last day of classes. Now, there's still going to be an assignment due each week, especially because we don't have a midterm and final exam is under question. All assignments will be distributed by email after the class. I may use chat to send you assignment right away, but I'm gonna double it through email also. And yeah, so you can email me assignment the day before the class, or well, you can upload it to Dropbox, Google Dropbox. So I'm gonna confirm that later. Now, if you happen to miss a class, and I suggest that you don't, because during the live class, you have a chance to ask a question, right? I'm gonna upload recording of the missed class on YouTube, and I will ask you to review it and email me questions if you have questions, right? And still you need to do the assignment. Now, what's gonna happen today and how the rest of our class is gonna go? Well, I lightened a little bit the content of the class today and next time, and actually for the free classes, we're going to work on two-voice invention. Today the homework is going to be focusing on preliminary exercises for invention, and I'm going to show you what those exercises are. You are going to be using the notation news score, and there are a couple of things in other lessons that you need to watch and another feature that you want to try. So it's all in the assignment. Now we're going to continue with invention, and this is going to be our also final project, right? So this project is going to be treated as a serious composition, not just merely as an exercise, but as a composition that you're going to engrave nicely and present on the last day of classes, right? So we're going to take it in stages, and in our next class, we're going to focus in detail on exposition and double counterpoint into voice invention. In 2 weeks, we're going to focus on middle section and coda. And after that, so I'm going to ask you to work on these parts of invention in stages, right, as a part of the homework. And then we're gonna have one lecture. I still want you to try sound editing, and I'm gonna send you your recorded projects from the last semester. And we're gonna have a class. I'm gonna show you how to edit, do basic editing with your file. And your assignment for the week 13 will be, well, editing your own file, your own piece from the last semester and submitting it as an assignment. Okay, and after that, we're going to talk about the fugue. We're going to learn about the structure of the fugue, and your assignment after that is going to be not a composition, but an analysis. Why? Well, because fugue should have at least 3 voices, and unfortunately, we cannot gather together in the same class and perform it as an ensemble anymore. And that's why I decided not to have a fugue as a composition assignment. And the last week will be virtual performance of your inventions, right? So we're also going to talk towards the end of the semester, well, how to engrave your score nicer, how to use some of the layout features, articulations, slurs, dynamics. So all of that is going to be appearing in your final score. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the screen, especially because you've got the file. Now, any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, I don't hear any questions. So next, I'm gonna check your homeworks, and I see that, well, using chat, some of you send the homework. So I'm gonna download right from the chat, and let's see how it works. I'm gonna start sharing the screen again. I opened Eunice homework, right? And of course, our task will be again seeing if it was done correctly. So I'm gonna ask after playing back Eunice homework if you guys you know, if you found any problems in the homework. So let's begin. So if you don't see the screen at this point, tell me right away. Now, this is counterpoint assignment number 4. Okay, so this is the old one, right? Sorry. So I probably checked it already. Sorry. So I'm gonna go to my email and just take your assignments from there. Okay, so I'm probably gonna go in different order from what you sent. So I'm opening Albert assignment. Okay, now I should be able to.
I wasn't here at the last class that we went over cannons, so I kind of guessed.
Yes, so yeah, so our assignment, our last assignment was on cannons, right? And so guys, what I'll ask you to do from now on, especially because we're sharing and because you're, you know, there are like just too many assignments that are received directly by email from different classes, not just from you. So if you could do me a favor and put your name right in the file, and many of you are already doing, that's gonna help tremendously, right? So, but let's hear, and this is going to be our test on how well you can hear the playback, right? Okay, so problems, and I'm gonna reduce the screen. Okay, so any problems, anybody sees any problems? And you see, I'm checking for the accuracy of the canon. And what I've noticed, well, is that the canon stopped being canon for a second. Here, it's just a different way of notating the duration, right? But other than that, yeah, so it pretty much stopped being a canon at this point. You see how, well, here the upper part, right, is copying what happens in the lower. Oh, sorry, I'm just off the page. It's repeating. Sorry, guys. Yeah, okay. Yeah, actually, the canon follows through accurately, just the fact that the same measure is repeated, right? Threw me off a little bit. Okay, great. And I'm going to check for any kind of problems later on. So, so this assignment and the invention, actually, when you'll start writing invention and preliminary exercises for invention, still need to observe the species counterpoint, right? So meaning no dissonances on the downbeat unless they're treated as suspensions, right? And other dissonances should be used as a part of the passing figure or neighbor figure or cambiata neighbor group, right? Okay, great. Albert, good job. I'm gonna go to the next assignment. And at any point, if you have a question or important comment, unmute your microphone. Now, there is also a chat, but I can't check the chat in real time, right? So I suggest that you guys unmute your microphone, right? And if you have a comment, just say it. Okay, so I'm looking at the next assignment, Eunice Lee, so that's nice. We can see whose assignment it is. Yeah, and we're gonna address the problems that MuseScore creates later when we talk more about editing. So of course, ideally you would have a whole note rest here and there, right? But let's check the canon itself. Okay, and I need everybody's ears. So, okay. Okay, so Eunice, I might want to hear from you. So it looks like you treated this assignment more in a free form, right? So here is where I can see the canon, even so it alternates, meaning that you didn't follow the suggestions from the assignment completely, right? So when the second voice entered imitating the first one at an octave, this first voice should continue with a counterpoint, right? And it was not really part of the assignment to switch the voices. It's very interesting what you did, and you did it well for a while. So we have some dissonances here and there. But here at this point, I think you just started, yeah, I see it's still canonic, which is good, but you split the voice in two. Yeah, so actually, yeah, different parts of this assignment act as a canon, and some more successfully than others. What should not happen in canon, we shouldn't have the alternation of voices, meaning that one voice is active, another one is taking a break, right?
Wait, I have a question.
Mhm.
On the handout that you
Yeah.
gave us, it had that as the beginning, and then it said to add on.
Yes, but you had to
Oh,
continue.
did we have to like draw our own notes here?
Yeah, so the
Oh.
first voice should continue with the new melody, you see,
Okay.
which would act as a counterpoint to the second voice repeating the first voice. So basically, second voice is only copying what happens in the first voice.
Uh-huh.
And it goes on like till until the end, like that. So when I check other homeworks, so pay attention, see how it works, right? So Albert had the canon that followed through without any breaks in the voices, right? And second voice always repeated what the first introduced earlier, subsequently, without any breaks. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so Eunice, even so it's a nice composition, you might need to rewrite it, revise it. So next is Kevin. What? Here, okay, great. And so so guys, you should be able to see the screen, right? And if you don't, let me know. So Kevin also, oops. Did a good thing by adding intervals, right, which was suggested by the assignment. If you couldn't figure out it in MuseScore, that's okay. I'm gonna skip that requirement. So let's check Kevin's canon. Great, and you see that Kevin wrote a cadence also, oops, Kevin also wrote a cadence, right, which is nice. So Kevin's canon is repeating everything what was in previous, well, let me actually check that really quick. So yeah, so here is where changes happen, right? So meaning that the second voice, right, stops repeating exactly what the first voice is doing. And Kevin is heading into the cadence. Maybe a little bit too early, meaning that you have a longer cadence than usual, but it's still acceptable. Free measures, right? Usually the cadence would take 1 measure, 1.5, 2 measures. Here we have a 3 measure cadence. Okay, well, it's still acceptable because you wrote a continuous canon following the rules for a while. Okay, now Carrie. Okay, so Carrie needs to have a quick office hour with me and learn how to use the scanner on a phone, right? So so this image is a little bit hard to read. Now, good thing that it's still readable, but you know, there is a feature or there is an app which you can use on your phone and convert image to PDF file, and in the process, the app is just editing it and converting it into a page, what looks like a flat page, right? Okay, so I'm just checking visually the Canon for accuracy. So again, the Canon stops being a Canon somewhere here, right? And again, this is a little bit too long for a cadence, 4 measures, right? So the cadence in Canon should be 1, 1.5, maximum 2 measures, right? But here you're just continuing as a free counterpoint. Okay, and you added Roman numerals, but you were asked to add intervals just to check for the species counterpoint, right? Because these canons have to be written as species counterpoint, following the species counterpoint rule, the 5th species, the free, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna accept it given the circumstances and how much stresses everybody's having with the coronavirus. So this is the previous assignment. I'm gonna skip that. So Daniel's assignment is next. Okay, great. Again, I can see the name, the assignment number, and the canon. Let's check that. Okay, great. The cadence is only about 2 measures. The canon worked. So no problems. Great job, Daniel. Okay, so let's see. And Shan Yu. Okay, again, so Shan Yu, this is especially important for you to hear. You need to add your name because all your assignments come without the name. Would be nice to have assignment number as a title, right? And let's check the canon. And here's where the canon stopped being a canon, right? And you have just one line continuing. Okay, and so the problem is that the canon stopped being canon around here, right? Meaning that the second voice is not recreating exactly, right, after these 2 beats, what the first voice has, right? And then second problem is that you are not really, so I see, oh, it's just one, I see.
Yeah,
it's
I think
one note, right? So one note is different, so it's easy to fix, right?
Yeah.
So it should be G sharp, right? And then second voice is repeating, right, what the first has accurately, but you don't have a cadence, right? So what you need to do, you need to add a cadence in 2 voices, right? So I'm gonna go back to Daniel's assignment and play it back because he has both the canon and the short cadence. So let's hear it again as an example. And here's where the cadence is. Okay, all right. Okay, so so Shan Yu, you also need to finish, right, the assignment. Okay, so I think I've seen everybody's assignment. If I forgot somebody, it's time to unmute and say, what about my assignment? But I think I went through all of them, right? And because the time is running fast, we're gonna start talking about invention, right? So if you want to take notes, please grab your pencils, or I don't recommend taking notes on computer while you're watching unless you have another computer, right? Save this computer for watching. And inventions. So And I'm also gonna send you this file after we talk about it. So as you know, guys, inventions are the name of the two voice pieces by Johann Sebastian Bach. He wrote 15 inventions as a teaching device for his son, Wilhelm Friedman, to teach both how to perform counterpoint and how to write contrapuntal pieces. And that's why for us, it's going to be our last assignment of the semester, how to write contrapuntal pieces in the form of two-voice invention. Bach also wrote free voice pieces, which by some editors were published under the name of free voice inventions, but Bach himself intended them to be called sinfonias. So free voice inventions are actually sinfonias, and two voice inventions, the cycle of 15 inventions, are inventions. Now, inventions are similar to fugue, but they have more freedom. They don't have any predictable form of structure, but they can have 2 or 3 more sections separated by cadences in different keys. Inventions are monothematic, and it means that they're based on the same musical idea. And in their middle section, which is the biggest section, they modulate through several keys. Now, some terms that we're going to use when we talk about inventions. Theme is very short and it opens an invention. Theme is the main musical idea. When we talk about fugue, theme is usually referred to as a subject. Now, after the theme, which we usually hear twice in invention, and we're going to talk about it twice in tonic and then twice in dominant, we hear the response. Response is the same theme that we hear in the dominant, and it's following the presentation of the theme in tonic. Right, so another term would be counter-theme for invention and counter-subject for fugue. It's the counterpoint to the theme retained and reappearing later in invention when we hear a theme in different keys. So we're going to talk through this again. Counter-theme is another term, right? Now, main sections of the inventions are exposition, first section of the invention, establishing the theme in the home key. So basically, this fragment here is the entire exposition of the invention in C major number 1. It's very short, only 2 measures. How come? Well, the theme is very short. Here is the theme, right? Here is the repetition of the theme in another voice, and it's called double counterpoint or octave counterpoint. Here is the counter theme, the counterpoint to the theme, right? And here we have a response. We hear the theme again in the dominant, right? Double counterpoint, right? With counter theme. And once we hear theme in tonic followed by response in the dominant in 2 voices invention, the exposition is over. And what follows is middle section. Some call it development, but well, middle section is the term for the biggest section in invention, which starts after exposition. Now, middle section begins with an episode. An episode is a passage in invention of fugue that does not contain a complete entry of the subject. So episodes consist of sequences, imitations, and within the sequences and imitations, you can find inversions and parts of the theme or subject, right? Now, because the theme in first invention is very short, well, we will actually hear the entire theme being used in episodes. So here it is, and I'm gonna scroll back up, you see? So this is the theme, da 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 da, right? And what we hear in the first episode, which is written as a sequence, is inverted theme, da 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 da, right? And also the theme consists of 2 motifs, X and Y, X and Y, da da da, Y. Y would be sounding like that, da 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 da, right? And parts of the motif are used as well in episodes in augmentation. So here is X motif again, 4 notes, right, rising up the scale as a tetrachord. And here is the augmentation of this X motif, da 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 da, right, which we hear twice longer. Okay, so what do we hear next in middle section after the episode? Well, we will hear the entry of the sim in a different key. And again, we may hear sim and double counterpoint or just sim alone without the repetition of the sim in another voice, right? And it's called middle entry of the sim. Then the middle entry of the sim will be followed by yet another episode, and yet by another middle entry of the sim. So the purpose of the episodes is to connect the middle entry of the sims and to modulate in the process of the sequence or imitation to a new key, right? So after we hear a series of episodes alternating with the middle entry of the sims, the invention will arrive to recapitulation. And in recapitulations, sometimes they're simply called codas because they're very short in invention. And how do you know when recapitulation begins? Well, we'll hear the sim again in a home key. And the length of recapitulation slash coda will be only about 2, maybe 4 measures long, right? So it's very short at the very end of the piece. Okay, well, we know what sequence is, right? And here it's broken down. Again, sequence consists of pattern and its repetition at a different pitch level, right? Now, melodic sequence, which is also very common for inventions, occurs in a single voice, right? And imitation happens between the voices in alternation, right? Okay, guys, so because the time is running fast, I'm gonna show you the video with analysis of this invention, right? Sorry. Yeah. And I can see that you can see my screen. So I created YouTube list for this class, right? So you can review again the analysis of this invention. And I'm just gonna play it back. It's only 2.5 minutes long. Okay, so I'm gonna send in a chat, sorry, yeah, here, the link to the playlist, right? Because there is also another video which we're gonna, if we have time, watch again. But before we watch it again, I want to also show you, well, a more detailed analysis of this piece from the point of view of the form, right? So just a second. So yeah, sorry, it's all handwritten, but here it is, right? So here is the X position, right? And the terminology on the video was slightly different. Here is the seam, motifs X and Y, right? Counter seam, which we heard against the repetition of the seam from the same note in another voice, right? Okay, here is the response, the seam and the dominant with counter seam and, well, the seam again and the dominant in another voice. And well, X position is over here, right? What begins is the first episode, which is a sequence. Here is the pattern of the sequence, which uses the inversion of the seam and augmented motif X as a counterpoint to inversion, right? And it repeats 1, 2 times, right? So this is a descending sequence by third. How do you know? Well, it starts from B in the base and the repetition of the pattern is G, right? So a third down, right? Okay, here is where the sequence ends because the last pattern is modified, right? Or maybe you can call it the last modified pattern of the sequence. And we arrive to a new key, right? To G major, where we hear the seam, well, rather response, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to be too picky if you call it seam or response in invention, but here it's the seam again, right? Now, the seam is not repeated with its counterpoint. You see, it's a different melody accompanying the seam. Compare it with the counterpoint, right? The counterpoint is da, 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 right? And here something else is happening. So then we hear beats of the seam, right? We hear a sequence here again. It's not marked, well, but we hear the inverted motif Y, right, as a part of the sequence, right? So here is Y again, and here it's inversion, right? Okay, and then we hear a cadence in G major, right? And the first episode ends here. After that, we hear another entry of the seam, right, with a double counterpoint, meaning that we hear it twice between the voices with a rhythmic delay, right, in G major. Now, when we hear this seam a second time, right, we hear a counter seam, right? It comes back. Here it is, da, 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 right? And then we hear the response in the dominant, right? So here's the dominant of, sorry, I set up this time for myself. Here is the seam and the dominant, right? Counter seam is retained, right? And we hear it against the response, right? And here is the second episode, right? Again, it uses the inversion of the seam, right? And it also has an imitation. So within this sequence, we also have an imitation, right? So here is the part of the pattern, da 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 da, right? It's imitated in another voice at the fifth, da 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 da, right? And here is the entire pattern of the sequence. It repeats a step higher, right? Now, in episode 2, we have 2 sequences, right? So here is the second sequence, augmented motif X and inverted seam together, right? So 1, 2, 3 chains of the sequence, followed by a more or less free counterpoint, which still contains bits of the inverted seam. And here is another seam, right? And then a more or less free counterpoint here. Okay. So third episode again has a sequence, and within that sequence we have an imitation, right? So it's a longer pattern, right? It uses inverted seam, right? Imitated, and then the seam without inversion also imitated, right? And the pattern is 2 measure longer, the pattern of the sequence. Here it's repeated a step lower, right? And followed by a shorter sequence, which makes use of the seam again. Here is the seam, and here is augmented and inverted X motif from the seam, right? And finally, we hear seam in the key of C major. It's not starting from C, it's starting from the dominant, right? And its counterpoint starting from D, right? But still, the key area here is C major. We finally arrived home, and here is where recapitulation / coda begins. Okay, and here is the formal plan. So we have exposition only for 2 measures. Then middle section starts here with the first episode. We hear theme in G major, second episode. There was one entry of the theme in A minor. It's not marked here, I apologize. Then there is a third episode, and finally exposition / coda starts here in the last 2 measures. So you guys will listen again and look at this handout. Another analysis, right, of the C major invention, showing all the, so you see that all the entries of the theme and augmentation are color coded, so it really helps to see that, right? Now, we've got about 3 minutes, and now, do you have any questions? What we learned today about invention is not going to be part of the homework, so don't worry, we're going to go over it again, and I'm going to ask you to also analyze parts of invention. So your homework, and while I'm opening the file for the homework, think about if you have any questions. So here is how your homework looks like. Again, I'm going to send it to you. So review invention, use score tutorials, and there are 2 preliminary exercises that I want you to do. So the first exercise is imitating the beginning of the invention. Here is the theme, and here is the octave or double counterpoint, repetition of the theme in another voice with a delay. So what you need to do, you need to write a counter theme, right? A nice counterpoint to the theme in the second voice. So that's the first exercise, and you need to do it in new score. So second exercise is imitating the episode in invention. So here is the pattern of the sequence, and you need to continue it first from A, and you can figure out that the step of the sequence is descending second, right? Then repeat it again, second down from A, right? And then repeat part of it here again for the 2 beats, right? And connect it to the cadence. So I created a file. I created an example similar to your homework, and if you can stay for literally 2 more minutes, I'm gonna, I'm working in Finale, guys, so sorry, so what's going on? Yeah, so here is a similar exercise, right? Here is the theme, right? And here is how it sounds. No, we don't have a sound. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to fix it now, right? But sorry about that. So here is the theme, it's repeated, and my task is to write a nice counterpoint starting from here, right? So what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna write, following the 5th species counterpoint, a melody that moves in different rhythm, right? So counterpoint is all about moving in different rhythm, right? And combines well with the theme itself. Not sure why we don't have a sound, but I'm gonna send it to you as a complete example. And here is the second exercise. So here is the pattern of the sequence, and all I need to do, right, is to take the pattern and, transpose it down, right? Now, you of course can learn in the video tutorial, which I added to your homework assignment in the description of the exercise, how to transpose, or you can do it manually. So I prefer doing it manually. Now, a couple of questions that you need to answer when you're doing these exercises. Yeah, sorry, I have an extra measure here, so I'm just gonna delete it. I didn't need that measure. So a couple of questions which you need to ask yourself when you're doing these exercises. When you're writing a sequence, look at the pattern. Is it diatonic or does it have altered pitches or secondary chords? Well, with this pattern, I had a diatonic sequence, and I think on your homework you also need to write diatonic sequence. So especially if it's in a major key, right? You don't need to add any accidentals, right? When you're writing, continuing writing counter seam to the seam, right, in another voice, also ask yourself, what's the key? Is it major, minor? Do I need to use accidentals for the dominant or leading tone? So here, this example is in B minor, right? So when I was writing the melody, I was aware that I'm in minor, but well, I avoided leading tones, so I didn't need to raise it. So this sequence here is in G major. Its pattern was diatonic. Again, I didn't need to add any accidentals, right? So this is pretty much it. So guys, I'm gonna send you homework. I'm going back on Zoom and stop sharing. Do you have any questions? Time for questions. Yes, Eunice.
Can you send us the you know how you told us to take notes on
Yeah.
that you shared? Can you send that to us through email, like with a PDF?
The note, yeah, the handouts. I'm gonna send you
the handout.
handouts, right? And the files that I used today, right? And a link to YouTube, right? So I'm gonna, and some of it you have through the chat. I also want you guys to try another feature and see if it's disabled or enabled. So go to chat, right? And next to file, you have 3 dots, like an ellipsis, right? So if you click on these 3 dots, you can save the chat with the links, right? So we'll need it for the future, right? So can you save the chat? Can you all guys try to save the?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, and well, after this first class, I'll send you all the files, you'll have it, but in the future, I might just throw the links, right, that I want you to save if you want to review them, right? Okay, so the assignment is going to be due next week, the day before the class or the morning before the class. So I'll ask you guys send your assignments in advance so that at the very beginning of the class, I can quickly open them and go through them, right? Just like we did today and just like we used to do in all the classes. Any questions? Are we good? Is it working? Okay, cool, thank you. And I see Christy show the status, so you can, yay, okay, cool. Yes, you can send the status emoji, really cool. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna hang out for a couple of minutes, but the class is over, thank you. And it's recorded, so I'm also gonna post it as unlisted link and send it to you with the homework. So it might take me a while just to send all together in an organized way, but you'll get it in your email. All right. Thank you, guys. So yeah, so feel free to end the meeting or ask additional questions. Now, Christy, the only thing that we needed to check with you is the camera, right? So can you tell me if you, if you want to try how to use the camera now? Hello, Chris. Yeah, bye-bye, Eunice.
Bye.
And I'm gonna stop
Thank you.
recording, Christy. So also, if you don't want to appear on the recording, right? Just tell me, right? Okay, guys. Thank you, guys.
And do we need to come back? We need to come back at 1, right? For
yes,
theory.
and use a different link, right? Use a
Okay.
different link. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
I'll see you
Daniel.
soon.
See you. Okay. Okay.